Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar as well as the zippity zip zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall, and we'll pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started. Good afternoon. It is November 11th, about 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started. Do you see this? Do you see my bangs? I've been growing them out because I'm due for an actual haircut from a qualified person. I normally I'll keep up with my bangs. But anyway, getting my haircut on Thursday. But for right now, look at this. Do you see this? If my hair was black and I had this black eyeliner and then like black, I'd be so emo right now. Just gotta get it out of my face. All right, so we are going to do a general overview of what's happening on NEXRAD. Then we're going to jump into some data and news, come back. We're going to zoom in, do a deep dive into certain areas around the U.S., and then we will go and check out trails. And boy, oh boy, have we had a ton of trails. Yesterday, I was showing you this here, part of this, because obviously it's a new day. There is more data. Man, so many trails across the U.S. And all of this, we'll get into it, but super high altitude clouds. It's nuts-a-rooney. That's right. I said nuts-a-rooney. When we look at NEXRAD, make sure you're not blocking the blue light. Make sure, gosh, these freaking. Make sure you can see all the blue. So turn off your night shift. Otherwise, you're going to miss some stuff. All right. I just turned mine off. I have mine perpetually on. I have like a blue filter to some degree. All right. I'm making rice right now. You guys ever make rice? I'm in a rice phase. I don't know how I feel about grains. Fun fact, heated rice and heated potatoes, when you first cook them, it's like a sugar, basically converts to sugar. It's like eating fruit, or maybe not even fruit, maybe a little bit worse than fruit. But if you cool it, then it becomes resistant starch, which is actually incredibly good for the gut. Resistant starch can be found in not too many things. You can get them in green bananas. You can get them in cooked then cooled potatoes, cooked then cooled rice, some other places, but those are the three that I'm aware of. Anyway, look into it. For those of you who want to improve their gut, it's extremely beneficial. All right. I'm not a doctor. Gosh, you have to say that these days. I'm not used to being like a media figure, but I've become somewhat of a media figure, and I have to try to not get sued, I guess. Still a lot of activity going on in California. Got that flame-like radar over there. Remember, what did I say about that? Associated with wind, unusual wind, or fire. Fire. Those things do go hand in hand. And the odd thing is, that's just a pattern that I've recognized. That's not anything that any meteorologist has said, oh, look at NEXRAD's doing this. That means it's going to be windy. No, that's just a pattern that I've noticed. And this will appear before it even starts, before the wind even appears, usually within 24 to 72 hours later. And we did see wind start to increase yesterday on the severe wind warning. Interesting. Looks like there's trails coming through here. You know, I was going to insert my little description about NexRad, but I'm actually going to film that because I'm not super happy with that one. Every single glow you see here is a NexRad radar station. The official statement is that it's just simply Doppler radar, helping us track weather systems, give us forecasts, things like that. The conspiracy theory, though, is that these towers are equipped with more technology than just Doppler, but that they are capable of manipulating the weather in various ways. One of those ways being that it can heat up the atmosphere. And that is critical because if you can heat up the atmosphere, you can do multiple things. Number one, you can create, well, obviously drought and heat waves. But number two, you create high pressure zones. And high pressure zones can be used as barriers. They are natural barriers to low pressure systems, aka storms. When storms, those are low pressure areas, come up to a high pressure zone, it will be redirected. It will be discouraged from entering that area. So theoretically, if you were a diabolical genius, right, and you wanted to hit a certain area with a hurricane, you could surround on either side. You could surround the hurricane with high pressure zones, encouraging the low pressure system to go in whatever path you want. You could encourage the storm to go wherever you want, essentially. So yes, you can create high pressure zones, you can create heat and drought, and also when you excessively heat up an area next to a space that isn't heating up, you're creating massive temperature swings and collisions of like pretty different temperatures. So, you know, super hot, normal, probably much cooler. When they come into contact, you create massive amounts of wind. Also, some people do theorize that these towers can be used as direct energy weapons or even to manipulate humans themselves. As we all know, as many of us know, every single thing that's in existence is a vibration. Light is a vibration. We are all frequency, and you could literally control anything with the bombardment of certain frequencies. So I see why many people do suspect that that could be what's occurring in certain areas at certain times. I don't know for sure, but that's just one of those theories. And also, a lot of people think that these towers can be used in conjunction with cell towers. Not that they're actually cell towers, but maybe like NexRad, they're equipped with technology beyond just allowing people to communicate on their phones and access data. And we do see interesting radial pulses emanating from thousands and thousands of towers around sunset. I don't think they're water towers. I don't think there are that many water towers. We're trying to figure out what it is. I do think it's cell towers just because of how many there frickin' are. In fact, let's see if we can find one at sunrise. Yeah, it's a little bit harder. I think the temperature has a lot to do with my ability to see that. But if you go back 2 months, you'll see it as clear as day. All right, let's watch. Okay, so we already said California's looking weird. Looks like there's something weird going on over here as far as trails are concerned. Just in general, actually. We got some of that static zip-zappery going on over here and here, which in the past has been associated with major heat, but only when it's there consistently for like at least a week or two. Not exactly sure. So we have to keep watching. Louisiana's got a lot of it too. Yeah, I would bet there's a lot of trails going through here. All right. So we have a general overview of what next red looks like. Let's just watch it through. Okay. And that's just from last night. Let's look at data. Data. Let's check out the severe warnings, shall we? Man, dude, Florida, remember last night? Florida really did get super freaking cold, and we'll go over some news, but in fact, I will pop over there for a second. Arctic blast cold stuns iguanas in Florida during record-setting temperature plunge. These poor freaking iguanas. They lose mobility when it reaches 50 degrees. So sad, those sweet little iguanas. Growing up in South Florida was really fun. I didn't realize how lucky I was because we had you could see alligators all over the place, which they never, there really wasn't ever any risk. As long as you don't bother them, they just were sunbathing during the day. At night, they become risky because you don't want to go near the lake, which there's lakes everywhere in Florida. Anyway, I'll get back to Florida later. Let's continue. Anyway, all that to say, got cold. Rip current statements along the entire eastern side of Florida and by Marco Island on the west. We've got freeze warnings still in northern Florida and southern Georgia. Now, interesting though, central Georgia has a special weather statement. So it's saying that the humidity is low and the wind will pick up. So this is essentially a fire warning. With dry fuels, high fire danger conditions are expected. High fire conditions are expected. Hold on, wait. Okay, so I saw another one though. Okay, yeah, so the high fire conditions are also in eastern North Carolina. But South Carolina has a different warning. It's a lake wind advisory, southeast winds, 10 to 15 mph with gusts up to 30. I don't know why that's a warning. Is that not normal to have wind at 10 to 15? I mean, the gusts at 30 is pretty excessive, I suppose. Far western North Carolina, melted snow in areas along the North Carolina-Tennessee border expected to freeze. Okay, so black ice warning in western North Carolina. Along the New England eastern coastline, we have gale warnings. All over the place. In central New York, winter weather advisory, lake effect, snow. Winds gusting as high as 35 miles per hour, creating blowing and drifting snow. And yeah, the Great Lakes still have that gale warning in place. And northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, central east Illinois, they all have a special weather statement. Gusty southeast westerly winds tonight may cause blowing, drifting snow across local roadways, causing slippery conditions. Northeastern Arkansas has a wind advisory. We'll get there in a second. Most of Texas is under a red flag warning. Wind and low relative humidity. Any fire that develops will catch and spread quickly. Outdoor burning is not recommended. So this area is under a critical fire weather warning. Oops. Saskatchewan. All right, right, let's check out you, California. California. Wind advisory in the southern central portion, as well as throughout the entire central region, actually, going up to the north. Eastern north has winter weather advisory. Gale warnings along the entire western coastline of the northern half of California and the southern half of Oregon. Oregon also has wind advisories. All right, let's see if anything severe is happening elsewhere that we should discuss. Any red areas? Well, that we will talk about next. Feng Wang. This is a tropical storm. It is on its way over to Taiwan. Thankfully, it is no longer a Category 4. But no other tropical systems anywhere. Though the dust is pretty weak in the Atlantic. So I am concerned about possible formation. I don't care if it's frickin' November. Okay, we've seen things form. So I'm going to be looking at the Atlantic as though it's hurricane season for 12 months out of the year. Nothing is off limits anymore, in my opinion. AQI. I noticed that pretty darn. Someone has rung the doorbell. All right, I'm back. Ugh, solicitor. All right. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And that's at 2 p.m. That's when it would be at its general highest. We have high pressure here and here, low pressure coming in through here. You know, Dane is talking about chemical cooling, and I had to get off the phone because I called him. I think I told you I was getting off the airplane. I got on the airplane when I landed. I turned my phone on and I received a text message that he was on Tucker Carlson, and then I immediately called him on the plane, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I know you said you were waiting for scheduling. I didn't know you got it. But I had to get off. But I do want to ask him about the chemical cooling because yes, we have a crazy amount of trails coming in. And his description of like an ice pack, right? You have liquid ice packs. Or not liquid. There's like little, I don't know what's inside, but it feels kind of hard. And then when you crack it, it gets super cold. You know, those ice packs. He's saying that like, that's essentially what's kind of going on in the atmosphere. But my question is, because I'm constantly trying to be the devil's advocate here, because I think I need to do it for myself, but I also need to do it for you. I can't just sit here and pretend I know everything, you know? And if anyone ever does, that is suspicious. But so I'm constantly questioning, even Dane, I will question. Yes, we have a ton of trails coming in, but we got a massive low pressure system coming in here. I don't know. We have to look and see what's going on up here. But here's what's interesting. All the satellite views that I have, I cannot see the top of the earth, and I cannot see the bottom. I can see the edges pretty close, but I can't see the full thing. I still have some questions about the cooling. He is so well versed in that, and I plan on learning as much as I possibly can because that's my goal. I want to learn as much as humanly possible about this subject, and you guys are following along, which is so cool because we're kind of learning together. All right. Fire map. We only really have numbers for the US and Canada. Yes, we get them for over here in Alaska. They just don't have any fires going right now. Man, it always shocks me seeing how large Alaska is. You could sit it and it would take up most of the 48 states. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So we've had constant smoke in this general area. And this is also the same area we have been seeing rampant. Oh, I didn't go through the other pieces of AQI. Sulfur dioxide. You see this? The sulfur dioxide was ridiculously high down here. Ridiculously high. Like a couple weeks ago. And it's been slowly moving up. It's the same area we're seeing this smoke overlay. But the crazy thing is, guys, there are no fires. I mean, none that I can find. I've been searching. I mean, the number one result when you type in Mexico wildfire is the firefighter detained on the job speaks out after deportation. Wildfire burning near the U.S.-Mexico border. U.S.-Mexico border. And this is an old article. There are no documented wildfires occurring in southern Mexico. Now, there was a volcanic eruption south of Mexico, but there's nothing about any volcanic eruptions in Central America or Mexico. So I don't know what that has been. That is very interesting to me. Very, very interesting indeed. I want to know what this is. Now you can make the argument that the smoke is maybe coming from here down. Doubtful. Because many of these fires weren't even here when we started seeing this. Now these are active fires. And also notice how it's on both sides. Now I'm no expert, but what this could tell me is there's some kind of source of particulate, a massive source. It's primarily blowing in this direction. We'll check the wind to see if it's moving northeast. But it's also, some of it, moving southwest. Let's see. And now if it was coming from here, then all these winds would be moving southwest. Oh, yeah, southwest. Let's check it out. Let's go find the old wind map. Oh, hello. Okay, so we have wind moving this way, but also down and over. Okay, so that would be going like this. And so the winds that they're getting over here are coming from over here. This way. Gosh, I wonder what it was like days ago. Are they expecting it to be like this generally? Wish you could go back on this app. Oh, wait, you can't, but you can on my website. Let's do that. All right, this is my show from the 30th. Let's see. I haven't watched. I haven't looked.
And for a while, what was that, sulfur dioxide? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Duh. The wind, what did I just do? The wind is actually displaying on that sulfur dioxide map, so I didn't even need to change it to the wind. I don't know what I was thinking. Let's go back right here.
Yeah.
So at the time, the wind was moving. You know, it's odd. Clearly, the wind path that's being displayed on the map is not affecting where the particulate is. It looks like the particulate is flowing above. I do wonder, is it in the stratosphere? Not the troposphere? Because I do believe that this wind is from the troposphere. And if it's in the stratosphere, it would not be so affected by the winds down below. Because it looks like it's not really following any particular path. But notice, see this? See how it was more south at that point? I wonder what the source is and why it's showing smoke. Here, let me see.
Where the heck is that coming from?
Where's the fire map?
We know there are some fires over here. I don't know. We got to dig into that more.
Yes, we do.
Anchorage, Alaska, got a fire.
All right, here's where I get to the fire map.
Actually, before we check out AQI. So,
okay, so there were fires over here, and these are no longer active. I mean, gosh, guys, maybe the smoke is coming from over here. I'd have to go back and look every single frickin' day, but, ooh, let's put me right over there. Goodbye, weird Ariana. It's just odd. It's odd that the smoke is not appearing over here. You know, there are mountains, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's gotta, I feel like the sources have to be here. It's just odd when you see something like this for so long. It's been weeks and weeks. Sulfur dioxide is super high, indicating possible fire, even a volcanic eruption. We're seeing the AQI affected, yet there's no news on it. No reports of any reason why it would be like that. I would say probably the most basic explanation could be that there have been fires here consistently for several weeks, and the smoke is getting up really, really high, and all the wind pattern changes aren't affecting the smoke, and it's just consistently appearing here and then not appearing right here. It's like the smoke is jumping over. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, I know I keep focusing on it, but it's just weird, and I don't understand it. All right, latest earthquakes. Not seeing anything particularly unusual. I'm no expert, on this. I'm actually just starting to look globally, so I haven't noticed a pattern yet. Other places here, I would say that's a big one. Off of Barbados, 5.0. We had a very minor earthquake in New Hampshire, 1.9. I'm not used to seeing earthquakes up here, but these are in ordinary areas, 1.8. We have extremely sensitive earthquake detectors in the US, which is why we can see all the way down to 0 magnitude. The rest of the world, at least on their disclosed records, they only go down, I believe, to 3. For instance, you could even see quarry blasts, 1.7 magnitude, 2.0 mag, 0.6 magnitude. Yeah, the U.S. has, I believe, the most advanced earthquake detection system in the world. America. All right, so before we move on to news, I did want to cover the bird migration map. So we have some heightened activity over here in this kind of general area. This area is always like this, regardless of if there's precipitation and regardless of if there are birds. So no, that blue and green is not dependent upon bird migration. But yeah, we do see activity here and here. So the activity over here doesn't seem represented. See, here and here. Not represented by birds. This, yeah, kind of. So bird migration map, remember, this is actually generated using the NextRad towers. That's why you see the NextRad towers on the bird migration map. The Doppler radar, this is how they say they track the birds. The Doppler bounces off of birds in a unique way, in such a unique way that they can actually map where they are located. Some people think that this is not legitimate. It's used as some kind of a patsy. I don't know. I think it's probably legit. I'm hard boiling eggs. I've done this once before. I failed epically. I'm new to the hard boiling, but it sounds like it might be exploding. Hold on a second. Okay, there's no explosions occurring. But yeah, I mean, there's so much that is visible on NextRad that gives away so much. You would think that they would cover all that up too. And they really do. They do actually. Because during the most outrageous moments in weather, we will often see this area go completely dark. They will have the whole map skipped or black. I remember, and you know what? They used to show the whole map black when they were blocking data. Now they're more tricky. You have to really watch the time code because sometimes it'll just skip a lot of time. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So they haven't skipped. Wait. They haven't skipped anything today. Did it go from 6? Yeah, okay, yeah. It's kind of glitchy. Okay, now let's move into some news. So I'm sure you guys have noticed if you're in the U.S., it's freaking cold. First big freeze of the season grips eastern U.S. as Arctic air and snow reach the south. Yep, it's freaking cold in most of the country, except for the southwestern area.
And if you think the snow stayed to the north, think again. Take a look at this video out of Carter County, Tennessee. Yeah, Middle Tennessee seeing its first snow of the season. Absolutely beautiful images. Kind of a headache to travel in, I understand that, but wow, just so beautiful. And ahead of schedule, by the way. If you're in Tennessee, you typically wouldn't see a ton of snow in November. It can happen, but it's on the earlier side. And while the rest of the country is tracking these snowflakes, you can tell that we have some very, very chilly conditions that we're waking up to. So let's talk about those temperatures across the southeast. Definitely bone chilling. In fact, this is one of the coldest mornings that we have had since last winter. And we do have some freeze warnings that extend well south of the I-10 corridor into North Florida. Now, freeze warnings, they are only issued for the first freeze. So if you live in Middle Tennessee, you are waking up to sub-freezing temperatures, but you've likely had your first freeze, which is why you're not included in this warning. But this is definitely a cold, cold start to the day. We do have cold weather advisories to pass along. This is truly to represent the impact of wind and the cold temperatures. And that really does make an impact on health and safety. Your body can't appropriately stay warm when the wind is picking up and those temperatures are dropping so dramatically. So in Orlando right now, get this, it feels like 28 degrees. The actual air temperature in the 30s, but you have to take off 10 degrees easily across the Sunshine State to get a real true feeling of what it feels like for your body. So for the kiddos that have school today, they have to dress in layers. I understand not all of you in Florida have the bolstered wardrobe for hats and gloves, but even just throwing on an extra undershirt on your little one and putting a coat on top can make a difference at the bus stop. Notice that in Miami, we do have temperatures dropping to the low 50s. So with temperatures this cold, yes, we are sending out an iguana alert here at Fox Weather. Anything that is at 40 can represent, yes, iguanas that can be stunned. So if you live in South Florida and you see a little lizard friend on the sidewalk, they're not dead. They are just stunned by the cold air. They'll warm up a couple hours after sunrise and start scurrying around. In fact, temperatures above 50, enough to bolster up that response. But it's always kind of an interesting thing to pass along. Usually we see it happen in January, not in November. And look at these temperatures. I mean, the temperatures that we are waking up to this morning, it's sub-freezing in Jacksonville, the upper 20s in Tallahassee. These are temperatures that we normally do not encounter until January or February, and that's the last time we were at that. Interesting to note for Orlando, we haven't been at 37 degrees since January of 2023. It's been 2 years for folks in Central Florida since we've had a morning this cold. So dress in layers, stay warm out there. The good news is, of course, it is late fall. It's not going to stay cold forever. It's chilly right now, but we will have a rebound. In fact, tomorrow morning will be easier to take on than what we have this morning. Let's move up to the northeast. You guessed it. The southeast is cold. You know, the northeast is going to be chilly as well. The difference here, though, is that folks up to the north.
I actually am going to play this. This is pretty darn useful to have on record. Also, I am an iguana. If I get hit with super cold temperature, I will also be stunned. I will be so, what's the word? Disappointed, shocked and awed. Gosh, what's the word I'm really looking for? It's the word to describe. I need to pause this to think. Betrayal. I think that's a good word. Betrayal. Betrayed by the environment. I too would be found motionless. Probably not laying on a cold sidewalk. I'd probably be laying somewhere warm and refusing to go anywhere else.
North. I mean, come on, let's be honest. It's only been since last March, since we've had chilly temperatures. And this is what we anticipate as we go into November. It's right on cue. Look at the snow, by the way, in Vermont. Always nice to see, especially for local economies getting ready for an upcoming ski season. Pittsburgh, we gave you a live look-see outside. Don't be shocked if you see some snowflakes. You probably won't see a lot accumulate, but you'll see some snow off of the Great Lakes this morning. Let's focus on the temperatures, though, and the combination with the wind. Wind chills, incredibly important, as I said, for health and safety. If you step outside, your hands aren't protected, you don't have a hat on, you're going to lose your internal body temperature very quickly, and you can have hypothermia set in. So you want to make sure that you dress appropriately. And for kiddos at the bus stop, that's critically important. And for people that are heading out to work, waiting for their own bus, waiting for the train, mark for Burlington, Vermont, Buffalo, and Albany. That's where we'll likely see a little more accumulation with snow. This is cold Canadian air spilling all the way into the Northeast. We do have freeze warnings in effect for the New York City area. So this is the first freeze, or not. It is going to feel like we're waking up to those sub-freezing temperatures. Tomorrow, easier to handle, still below average, but you can tell as we work our way towards the end of the week, we kind of dig ourselves out of the freezer and start to rebound for the weekend, but nothing too shocking to the system. But yes, I think we can all say winter, it's here.
No, don't you dare say that. I have until December 21st to be in denial. This is interesting. They say it's a rare meteor explosion caught on live stream from space. Let's see it. Ugh. Their replay is difficult. Look at that. I put my mouse right over it. I'm sorry. Whoa. Nuts. Oh, this is just on replay a million times. Okay, so could absolutely be. It's very likely, a meteor. But it is interesting. Some people, I haven't dug down this rabbit hole. Some people are saying that Musk's satellites have been crashing towards Earth at an alarming rate. And they suggest that some of these meteors are not meteors at all. Now, a couple of reasons why that, just for face value, why that doesn't make sense. The media hates Musk, always attacking him. I feel like they would really be paying attention to that and making it an enormous deal and covering every single instance and maybe even making up more instances than would actually exist. But let me show you something real quick. So Musk has over 9,000 Starlink satellites. I could have sworn it's getting closer to 10,000. As of late 2025, it says 8,800. Starlink satellites. They have most of the satellites in orbit right now. And this is the satellite map. Your system clock appears to be off. Yes, because I'm using a VPN. Leave me alone. I can't get rid of this thing. Yeah. Lots of frickin' satellites, right? Lots of frickin' satellites. Oh my gosh, you can actually see. Yeah, there's a lot. And apparently, some of these are crashing. And you can look that up. There's articles on it. Can you believe that our planet is covered in this stuff? I just can't imagine that this isn't impacting the planet. And what's interesting is Musk controls 2/3 of all active satellites. But I believe, there was an interesting... Elon Musk now controls 2/3 of the active satellites, but he was saying... Gosh, where is that article? Announced his plan to control climate by surrounding Earth in adjustable satellites. I didn't see his post on X. I just saw the articles on it. I need to, let's just click it. Why not? Oh, there you go. A large solar-powered AI satellite constellation would be able to prevent global warming by making tiny adjustments in how much solar energy reached the Earth. What do you guys think about that? I mean, my gut reaction is no. However, there could be usefulness to him saying that. Because when all these people are saying, let's inject chemicals and metals and reflective concoctions into our air because we need to save the planet, you could say, we don't need to do any of that. We have satellites that can redirect sunlight. And then maybe you could take the argument there. What would be more hazardous? I don't know. It's funny because I've been so focused on this subject for so long, because I've always believed this is the greatest news story there is. This is the biggest thing humanity has ever done. And it will have the greatest impacts on our species and every other species in the future of the planet itself. It has such a great impact on all those things. I just think it's interesting that I happen to get involved in doing it publicly just before it really started to become this massively popular subject, even in mainstream media. So grateful. And all of you guys can get involved as well. If you can take the time to educate yourselves and share that knowledge in an entertaining way. It has to be entertaining a lot of the time, because the people who are looking for the really good, deep information, they're willing to sit through an hour long like this. New people who are really just learning about this, very few of them are actually going to watch my show. People who already know about it and want to learn more are going to watch the show. So you gotta reach the people who don't understand in a way that they're willing to accept the information, which for me, I try to make people laugh. All right, let's do the old deep dive-a-rooski. We're going to zoom on in. Yeah, looks like there's trails coming in over here, going through here and over here. Notice how this tower stops transmitting to the server briefly. Not as bad as yesterday. These towers are acting up as usual. It's been like that. Gosh, guys, it's been months now since before those Northern California fires. Hello, kitty. Have you come to say hello to the audience? She's here. She's made an appearance.
This is Icarus, and she is perfect. She's a little princess.
Oh, gosh, guys.
She's so... I love you.
All right. Yeah, this wave-like activity. And remember, they do have severe wind warnings all in this area now. That zip zapper you see here, by the way, in Southern California, it's been doing that 24/7 since I started the show. From this tower. Now, the tower above it is acting up as well, which is a little unusual. Same with this one. A little unusual for that area. It's the only place in the country where one tower is going zip, 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 zip. Maybe that's like the portal to the other dimension. Oh my gosh, guys. Maybe things are so much more crazy than we could ever imagine. I think that might actually be the case. I think the reason for all of this might be so far beyond our understanding. What if guys, I've considered so many things. Like, what if we really are in a freaking matrix? And they need us. They're not just killing us all off because they need our battery source. We are the battery source. You got to wonder, right? I mean, if depopulation is the goal, then they could easily just exterminate everyone very, very quickly. Yeah, looks like there's trails all through here. I say that because the precipitation on NextRad looks different when there's trails involved versus when they're not involved. So let's see. Rum pum 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 bum 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 da da dun da da dun 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 dun. So we obviously have a ridiculous amount of trails. Whoops. Scooch this in so you can see the time frame. Lots and lots of trails all over the place. Woo-wee. Oh my gosh. I see this every show. Well, every show I see this. It's like you gave a crayon to a freaking 1-year-old at the dinner table. It was more like a murder scene I just did. Dun-dun, dun-dun. Lots and lots of trails coming in from out there. So the day before this, there were crazy amount of trails that were leading into this. This is loaded with trails, as we know from last night's show. This entire area here, you can still see some on the outskirts. It's hard to see what lines are being left here, right? Because trails are typically higher altitude. Although, you know what? These look like they're more below. Interesting. But sometimes they're, actually, it is hard to say because a lot of the time they are black. So these could just be black. They might just look blue because it's over top red. Might be appearing a little bit more purple. But because color indicates level in the atmosphere, altitude. Pink is a separate category, that's dust. But from here on, it's low to high. This area is black. You can't see through it. But judging by what we're seeing on the outskirts and what we saw going into it, this entire area is likely loaded. I can see it. I can see some lines on the outskirts. Yep. I would put money on it that this is loaded with trails as it's heading into the area. And yeah, actually, as it falls apart, you can see them. Line, 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 and line, 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 line. Line, 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 do, 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 line, 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 line. Ooh, man. I never watched that show. I should, though, apparently. Someone who I respect very much, who loves Seinfeld as much as I do, says that they think 2.5 Men might be better than Seinfeld, and I cannot imagine that's even possible. I cannot imagine. Lots and lots of trails over Florida, right in the areas where the poor iguanas have been stunned. I am stunned as well for them. Petrified. Lots of trails mixed in all through here. I'm excited, guys, to watch to see how trails behave in the wintertime. Because I haven't been watching every single day in the winter. Once I get to March, it will be a full 12 months of me looking almost every day with great attention to detail. That's all it takes, guys. Just taking the time to really just look. Humans are smart. We can recognize patterns if we just pay attention. Lots of lines out here. Come on, Glitchy McGlitchster. Oh, that's right. We're not moved on. We haven't moved on to trails yet. We're still doing NextRad. What is up? No sliders acting slow. Let's do a little scoochy poochie. And yes, all those areas I said it looked like there were trails. There were trails. That tower went offline briefly. Oh, you know what? I forgot to explain. Towers get more sensitive at night, so when you see the glow move from east to west, that is the sun setting, moving into nighttime. You can really see what the towers are doing a little bit better. And morning. Ah, the radio pulses. They are here in Louisiana that you can see clearly. I think they're probably everywhere, but you can certainly see them here. So around sunrise, see that? There, there, there. All these little white or greenish specks. And out here, there's a lot of little circles. And as I move the time frame, the circles expand. You can't see all the circles clearly, but I'm so used to watching now, I can see all of the faint ones. There are thousands. Those have to be cell towers. I suppose they could be water towers. The water is influenced. That's the devil's advocate, the person without the tinfoil hat. Maybe the radar is affected by the water. I don't know, but they're there. See that? I'll go through a little fast. See, little expansions, not in the areas where Nextera towers are located. Bada bing, bada boom. Did a step in the room. We already talked about the trails moving here. That area, the whole area looks super weird. Let's get my face out of here. Yeah, lots of static zip zappery going on over there. Dun, 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 dun. This is the area they're saying beware of fire and wind, severe wind. That tower was not transmitting. Is this every tower in Texas? Is it like a W? W. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there is one missing. What's wrong with this one? Oh, it's not on. I knew there was one that wasn't working. Yeah, over here too. So the red dots indicate the ones that are not transmitting right now. Intriguing. Yeah, so I can't tell. Oh, that one just came back online, but I guess it's off again. It came on briefly. And there's also one over here that's not showing up on the server as well. All right. Now let's check out trails for the rest of the world. You can actually see some trails over here in Mexico. How unusual. I normally don't see them here. Does this have anything? Ah. I noticed that there are trails over Mexico on occasion. Actually, not on occasion. It's rare. And notice how no, I haven't seen this, but this is the area where the AQI is bad and where we're seeing that smoke. I haven't seen trails here before, so unlikely to be correlated. Obviously, plenty of trails here. Wait a minute. Brazil! I never went back to Brazil. Last night, I said I was going to go back to Brazil because I couldn't reload. I wanted to see if there were trails over the area where they had that hailstorm. Gosh darn it. I got to take notes as I'm filming the show. Because when I say I'm going to go back to something, I don't want to forget. Looks like I see some trails here, though. Not frequent and not long-lasting. Those are probably persistent contrails, which can happen. And there are some trails heading into Chile and Argentina, which I do see occurring fairly regularly. Interesting. Are these planes coming from Antarctica? Trails in there. Now we do not get a good view of this area from the other two satellites. But I can see that there are trails headed over to Spain and Portugal right now. Looks like a lot, actually. Wonder if we'll be able to actually finally see a lot of them. They've been doing a lot of blocking lately. All right, we're in the Southern Pacific. There's Hawaii. Hawaii. Looks like there are trails in here. Trails in here. I have hiccups now. Trails in here. Trails in here. Trails in here. Ooh, look at that perfect spiral. Look at that guy. Oh, come on. Why'd you block me? No slider's going slow today, guys. It's been taking me a long time to load off screen. And it's not my internet. I checked my internet. And I'm loading in 80-minute intervals, which is a lot. So I'm going easy on it. Lots of trails, lots of trails, lots of trails, lots of trails. Trails. There are trails here too. Australia still has trails coming off the southern edge, and they are going over into New Zealand. Okay. Trails over here in Russia. I think I see some over here in Kazakhstan. Wow, look at that thing. Wait a minute. Huh? That's... Is this not accurate? Hold on, let's go. Tuesday. Okay. So this storm looks like, is this up to date? Looks like the storm is not at all. Okay, so there's that cyclone. All right, so I guess I can see how, hold on, let's go to right now. So that's right now. Yeah, this is not accurate. This is not accurate. This, unless they're still considering the center of circulation over here, but I don't think so. This is like up here now, and it's broken completely apart. I suppose the center could be here. I don't know. It looks weird to me. Looks like the thing is nothing now. Not even a tropical storm. There could be trails in here, guys. There are a ton of lines, but those could be naturally occurring. You know, China has one of the most extensive geoengineering programs in the world. And you know, you actually can stop a storm using chemtrails, because the more particulate in the air, the less power a storm can have, as evidenced by the Saharan dust. Remember how the Saharan dust has been preventing storms from forming? Because the more particulate in the air, the less likely it is a storm can gain any strength and become powerful. Maybe China's loading up to prevent damage. I do think I see a lot in here. There's definitely some going on out here. Those could be blown out. Doop 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 doo doo be doop 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 doop. Ugh, pathetic. This is from the 6th to the 11th. This is every time frame available. Yes, the intervals are 180 minutes. But look at that. There's no data between the 7th and the 10th. It goes from, there's only one spot on the 7th. It's 9:15. On the 10th, it's 16:45. It looks like today we actually have more of a view. Oh my gosh. Hopefully that continues. We can actually see what's going on. Plenty of trails over here. It's not resolutions. Come on. Trail, trail, trail. Lots of trails all over this area. Even though it's hard to load for some reason, but I can see them here, here, here. Many over here, here. Mixed in here. Come on. Oh, there we go. I was just going to pause it. Yeah, as usual, nothing over Africa. Wait a minute. Now I gotta load this. Looks like there could be some lines here. That would be the first time ever that I've seen that. Can you load? Man, this thing is not loading well. And I've been blocked from seeing, but guys... Those could be contrails. They're not there for very long. Wait, no, hold on. It goes from 20... Yeah, okay, so they're not there very long, but I see trails, and I never see trails of any kind over Africa. Well, I'll have to keep an eye on this portion of the world. Interesting. Man, I wish I could have seen what was going on when they blocked all the view. We have a lot of trails over here, a lot of trails over here. And for those of you who are new, just see all these black lines. Line. Ugh, there's so many over here. Here. Ugh, gross. All right, guys. That is it. Hope you have a good night. Thanks for joining. See you tomorrow.